I get it, shopping for lab equipment online feels a lot like buying a mystery box. You scroll through glossy photos, read a line-by-line spec sheet, maybe skim a couple of 5-star reviews, and then you get it in the back of a box only to discover the weight sensor isn't as stable as you imagined or the platform is too small for the samples you actually run. That moment of disappointment is why I wanted to make a video that actually walks you through what it's like to set up and use a moisture analyzer in a real-world workshop, so you can avoid that gut punch. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the A&D Weighing Moisture Analyzer, model ML50, is marketed as a compact, stainless steel platform with a 51-gram capacity. In practice, that size places it squarely in the benchtop niche. If you're the kind of person who runs routine moisture checks on small batches of herbs, spices, or pharmaceutical powders, the footprint fits nicely on a standard lab bench without hogging space needed for a centrifuge or a fume hood. The stainless steel top does feel solid, and because it's a metal surface you can place a small ceramic dish or a stainless steel crucible directly on it without worrying about warping. That's a real convenience if you've ever tried to balance a glass petri dish on a flimsy plastic pan and ended up with a wobble that throws off the reading. What really matters is the workflow once you power it up. The unit runs a built-in balance that quickly stabilizes to a reading, then you set a target temperature for drying. The software, simple enough that you can navigate with just a few button presses, automatically logs the initial weight, starts the heating cycle, and then records the weight loss at regular intervals. In the lab I've seen, this means you can set it and walk away while it does the math for you, rather than manually timing a drying oven and logging numbers on a clipboard. For a small operation that needs to certify moisture content for a batch of product before shipping, that automation cuts down on human error and frees up a technician to handle another task. Now, let's talk about the hidden trade-offs. The 51-gram limit is both a strength and a limitation. On the one hand, it keeps the device light enough to move around, and for most quality control scenarios, think checking the moisture of a handful of dried mushroom caps or a single tablet batch, it's more than sufficient. On the other hand, if you ever need to test larger samples, say a 200-gram batch of grain or a bulk powder that you can't split into smaller portions without losing representativeness, you'll hit the ceiling fast. You'll either have to run multiple cycles and average the results, which adds time, or look for a larger platform altogether. Another practical consideration is the heating element. The ML50 uses a standard cartridge heater that reaches the typical 150°C range needed for most moisture loss applications. In my own testing, it heats up within a couple of minutes, and the temperature holds steady enough that the weight drift stays minimal. However, because it's a compact unit, the airflow around the sample is limited. If you're analyzing materials that release volatile compounds other than water, like essential oils in a botanical extract, you might notice a slight overreading because the system can't vent the extra vapors quickly. In those cases, a higher capacity dryer with forced air would be a better fit. One thing buyers often overlook is calibration. The ML50 comes pre-calibrated from the factory, which is convenient, but the balance will drift over months of use, especially if you store it in a high humidity environment. The device does have an internal calibration routine you can trigger with a few taps, but you'll need a certified weight set to do it properly. If your lab already has calibration weights lying around, that won't be a problem. If not, you might have to factor in the cost of a small weight set, something that isn't mentioned on the Amazon listing but becomes a real expense down the line. Who should hit the buy button? If you're a small-scale food testing lab, a hobbyist brewer, or a boutique cosmetics manufacturer that needs to verify moisture content on a regular basis, this analyzer checks all the boxes. It's portable, the stainless steel platform is easy to clean, and the software keeps a tidy record of each run. The price point mid-range for a moisture analyzer makes sense when you consider you're getting a dedicated balance plus a heating module in one compact box. It also shines for educational settings where students need hands-on experience without the budget for a full-scale industrial dryer. Who should skip it? Large-scale manufacturers that routinely process kilograms of material will find the 51-gram limit restrictive. Likewise, anyone whose samples require precise temperature ramps above 150°C, or who needs a nitrogen purge to prevent oxidation, will be better served by a more specialized dryer. Finally, if you're looking for a device that can double as a high-precision analytical balance for non-moisture work, the ML50 isn't built.